Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
I'm going to start this episode by talking because I figure loud blender noises would just be offensive to everybody listening to this.
Yeah, we tried it, but we got the sound spiking too much on our recorder, a little bit too much to do that to you guys. So,
and quite honestly, it's not the same unless I actually get Vince from Slap Chop here to do it himself.
That's not blender noises. It's Slap Chop.
I'm sure he's got some sort of blender on the market.
That's the whole thing about Slap Chop. You just slap in. There's no noise, no mess, no nothing.
That has to be the worst product of all time. There's
like
no way that thing works.
It's like I heard it does an okay job with just like quickly chopping up some vegetables, but I don't know. Learn how to use a knife like a normal person.
How does it work for top lines?
Oh, you just stick your Bertuzzi in there. You can stuff most of a Mantha in there. You got to leave the Larkin out, but you just do that one after. You leave the Larkin on the top line, presumably.
Okay.
Yeah. God, wow. Slap Chop is how we're starting this episode?
Slap Chop.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
I'm Evan.
You did it, man.
I made it.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I played the opening to last episode because I was listening for audio stuff while I was at home editing, and Mel goes, "Did he say I'm tired again?"
I am tired. I'm always tired.
Here's the thing:
waking up in the pitch dark at 7 a.m. is horrible. I would wish for sunlight at all times.
Do you not get morning light?
Nah, I think we do in like the spring and the summer, but towards the fall we don't. So now it's literally like it may as well be 8 p.m. at night when I wake up.
I feel like you should move to Finland.
Yeah, but they have winter all the time.
Yeah.
And they have no sun in this winter.
And then in the summer you get nothing but sun. It'd be a fun roller coaster for you.
Yeah, when I was in Sweden in June, it was 4 a.m. and it was blue sky.
That would never.
I thought I woke up late. I was like, "Oh shit!" And like I was like getting all flustered. And then I looked at my phone. It was 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, you said PM. I was like, yeah, that is late to wake up, Evan.
Oh no, sorry, no AM.
Oh, I was trying to follow along here. Speaking of audio, a couple episodes ago when we upgraded our equipment, we told you guys, keep an eye out for anything that's going wrong or anything that sounds different because we want to make sure we're staying on top of it. We've done a good job of teaching ourselves like audio production, but we're not audio engineers. And then I think one of the very next episodes, or the next episode, we interviewed Darren McCarty. And if you haven't listened, go back and listen to our most recent episode. We interviewed Darren McCarty, and on our call with him, unbeknownst to us, he was going on and off of speakerphone. People have different preferences when we interview them. Some of them are down for Skype or something else, but he just wanted a phone call. And when we're on the call with him, we can't tell. We don't notice anything, but when we record the call and he has speakerphone on, so I'm listening and it just sounds like he's speaking from the ethereal realm because of all of the echo. And I was just like, oh, God damn it. I mean, if anyone gets a pass, it's Darren McCarty. But the way we're going to remedy that is by just bringing the studio to him next time.
This is true.
Which is actually what we have planned. So hope you guys enjoyed that interview, and hope the audio or the echo wasn't too bad.
The lights don't seem as bright. Maybe that could make our sound better if you turned it up a little bit.
I thought that too. The lights aren't as aggressive. Is that because...
Do I have a fine crisp over my eyes now? And that's why I don't sense the brightness of the lights?
It might be. Yeah, we might have burned out our retinas a little bit, or maybe the lights are getting dimmer. No, they're definitely not getting dimmer. Don't look right at them. Hope all of you...
So Evan immediately turns and looks right at it.
I hope everyone watching on YouTube enjoys the lighting.
Because it's not for us.
I am awake for 14 straight hours after.
Yeah, who needs caffeine?
This is Finland at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, truly it is. This episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is, of course, brought to you by Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light. We want you guys to hashtag Selly with Labatt Blue and the Detroit Red Wings all season long. Find specially marked cases of Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light at your local retailer. Again, to hashtag Selly on. Again, we have to find a different hashtag as well. Hashtag Selly on, something Red Wings related. Labatt Blue and Labatt Blue Light, official Canadian beers of the Detroit Red Wings. An official beer of watching the Red Wings on this West Coast road swing and needing something to hold you over. Like a nice crisp Labatt Blue, because you shouldn't be having caffeine that late at night. This road swing, I forgot how much late games suck.
I had a practice Tuesday night, got home at first intermission, watched the second period, went to bed because that was bad.
We're gonna start with that. I'm happy we brought up something so so positive as just enjoying a beer to help you through that game, because you definitely did need one to get through that game.
Yeah. What was the phrase I used on Twitter when I got home, looked at the score, and described the game? Aggressively regressing to the mean.
Yeah.
I think is how I phrased it.
Now, here's the thing. This is game one after traveling literally across the continent for a team that is battered by injuries and has 1.5 functioning lines. The story of the night was Mike Green. Mike Green had a career night in all of the worst ways. I don't want to sit here and just completely tear into the guy and say, this is why we lost. No. The Red Wings lost because they were objectively the worst team and they played like it. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. There's going to be a lot of games like this.
Worth noting, though, the Canucks are not exactly an elite team.
No. And that's, I think, what made this game difficult, because it's kind of like when Detroit beat Toronto. They did such a good job of shutting down their top 6 or top 9 players.
We didn't beat Toronto.
Or sorry, when they played Toronto, they did such a good job of shutting down their top 6 players. Toronto still won, but it wasn't even with their wealth of talent or superstars. It was
Ilya Mikheyev and Nick Shore.
That's boring. If you're going to beat us, have Austin Matthews score 5 times.
Well, at least Pettersson scored on us for him.
Oh, man. He had this dangle in the offensive zone where he just, he was on his knees to start, and then he pulled the puck in, and then he pulled an inside out on someone who's standing still and turned him around. I'm like, oh.
Was he drafted right before Rasmussen?
4 picks before.
4 picks.
He was drafted 5th. Rasmussen went 9th, I believe.
I remember in our preseason mock draft, we had Pettersson going to the Red Wings. How I wish that would have come to fruition.
Remember when we were all rattled we didn't get Gabe Vilardi?
Yeah. We didn't realize the degenerative back disease or injury he had.
Well, I wasn't big on Vilardi. I was pissed we passed on, I think it was Suzuki and Liljegren I had up at the time.
Yeah.
Both of which anyways.
Yep. I still have bad dreams about Liljegren, but we're not gonna do that today. That's not what we're doing.
He doesn't look elite, so he might not even be great. He might just be good.
We're gonna talk about the Red Wings against the Canucks. Okay, Mike Green. One terrible giveaway that led directly to an offensive chance, which turned into a goal. 2 penalties in which he went into the box and sat there for maybe 5 seconds of play before they scored. Just wasn't good the whole night. Here's the thing. Nothing that he did outside of the penalties, which could happen to any player really, was exceptionally surprising. This has been Mike Green's game for a long time now because, oh boy.
Someone just got power bombed.
Mike Green's upstairs and he's pissed. This has been his game for a long time now. Like Mike Green, when he started, I might have gone on this rant before, but Mike Green, when he started, what people were saying, he's not reliable in the defensive zone. And they'd say, well, he's a good offensively. And we're saying, well, he's not producing as much offensively. He doesn't score as much anymore. And then they'll say, well, he's a good puck mover. He has good zone exits and the occasional zone entry. His zone exits have been very bad, like just passing to the other team. Like it's not even a turnover; it's actually just a registered pass to the other team. And I think this is because he's not adapting his game. There's been no transition in his game as he's aged, as he's not able to do the things physically that he used to be able to do. There's been no simplification of his game, and I think that's what he needs to do. There's no need for him to be falling off a cliff this badly. The guy still has the intelligence and the ability to play the game. He just has to change how he does it.
I don't know if it's that. It could very well be that, and that's the more logical answer. But I think I even kind of in passing mentioned it after the Stars game, because these are the type of things you pick out a lot easier when you're actually in the building and watching the full thing. He seemed very, I don't know what the best word to describe this is, passive on the ice. Very disinterested. There was no urgency in his game. He wasn't moving hard to pucks. He wasn't putting any real mustard on his passes or throwing the body. Not that's his game. He was there. Mm-hmm. He was a guy. But he was a guy who wasn't fighting for a job, if that makes sense. Because you get 6 to 10 guys on any NHL roster at any point, but those guys know they could get sent down at any minute, so they bust their bag off. Mike Green looks like he does not care to be there this year. Maybe that's because his body's catching up to him and he physically can't go any faster than he is, which is a bigger problem if that's the case, because everything you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But if he's not, well, then what the heck is going on here?
The thing with this team right now is every time we talk about a player who's underperforming, it's always implied that it's okay this year if the Red Wings are deploying them more often than not, because this team's version of success isn't success. It's not wins and points in the standings, because it's a foregone conclusion that that's not going to be an attainable measure or an attainable achievement that's going to mean anything in the end, other than, 10 points in the last 5 games that'll launch you up the standings out of the lottery. But the Red Wings did have a lot of expectations from Mike Green this year, especially playing in a top 4 role. It's important that he plays a sound game because there's young players who need to develop with him. The reason Danny DeKeyser is playing good hockey again is, he's living up to his contract now, or is getting closer to living up to his contract, but also he's playing with Hronek. Hronek needs stable defense. Hronek needs someone who he can rely on, learn from, and use as a backstop in case he wants to join the rush or step up in the offensive zone. So Green not playing as well as the team is wanting him to play actually is problematic. It's not, again, I don't want to say it's surprising because we've been talking about this for some time. It's just unfortunate to see at this juncture because it's like something's got to change because there's no one else to put up there.
It's really only it's a matter of time that Mike Green's fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
He had elite offensive talent with very sub-elite, sub-average defensive abilities. So the fact that he's riddled with injuries every single year, his offense is pretty much dried up. I think it was a matter of when, not if.
Oh, for sure.
How old is he?
33, 34?
So he's still
34, I would say.
I mean, he's got the body of an 80-year-old man.
He turned 34 5 days ago.
Oh,
Nailed it.
happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike Green.
Happy birthday, Mike Green.
You kind of suck now.
Yeah, well, again, is it the end of the world? No, of course not.
Depending on your view on tanking.
I mean,
We're not there yet.
At least we're not in a position where we were taking a step to be a contender and we were really hoping for something out of Mike Green this year and he falls off a cliff.
We were hoping for something out of Mike Green this year. Ideally, it would have been a second-round pick.
Yeah, I don't know about that anymore.
No contenders taking him as
Honestly,
he is right
goes
now.
on an absolute bender.
Hanging on to Mike Green for that, I can't remember, it was 2 years ago now, hanging on to him that entire year because they wanted to see where the team was at the trade deadline, and then having him break 2 vertebrae in his neck like 4 games before the deadline.
Dude, that was last year, wasn't it?
No,
it was the year before. Yeah.
Last year was
the liver issue.
Yeah, but you know what? Last year he wasn't going to get traded for anything of consequence.
And this year he's not getting traded.
No. I don't even think he would get moved. He might get moved on name value. I could see a team who is lacking scoring from the back end trade for him as their 6th defenseman and second power play guy.
Yeah, maybe.
But not for much. Not for much at all.
Winnipeg, come on down.
You know what?
Isn't he from Winnipeg? Or no, he's from Alberta, isn't he? Calgary.
Yeah, he's from Calgary.
Whatever, Western Canada, it's a big, small place.
Speaking of which, the Red Wings play in Calgary in 2 hours after recording this podcast. So this is another evening where the late game is a little bit of a tough one to work around. So we're recording before. So any opinions or anything like that don't exactly hold up to the most recent game? Now
nope,
you know
I
why.
stand by my opinion.
Okay, here, we'll each do some quick analysis of the game.
Analysis?
I'll go, it was a great game for the Red Wings. You go, it was a bad game for the Red Wings. Evan, you go, it was an overtime loss or something, okay? Boy, that top line played great for the 6 shifts they played together. Jimmy Howard really snuck one out there, and I was super impressed with Philip Hronek and Danny DeKeyser on the back end. What a great game that was.
Well, let's talk about the top line being split up.
Do we have to?
Oh, it's the main story of the episode?
They released the projected lines, and the lines were the same.
They were the same. Yeah, to be fair to Blashill, he was considering tinkering with the top line.
Everybody's all butt hurt as soon as Blashill's blender comes out.
Listen, if he wants to throw the entire bottom line into an absolute blender that makes no sense and just literally spits guys out in random spots, I'm okay with it right now. That bottom nine's been bad, hence why he's considering tinkering with the top line. If you drop an Anthony Mantha onto the second line, sure, that line instantly becomes more dangerous, but obviously the counter to that is that top line no longer is elite. So I can see the reasoning behind it. It's wrong and bad, but I can see the reasoning
Was
behind
there any reports of who would be going on to the first line?
Well, no, it was. I think it was just a little soundbite from Blashill where they asked him because basically the first line is producing and randomly the fourth line is producing.
But they didn't last game.
No. They did generate some chances. It definitely wasn't their best game.
Yeah.
Larkin scored 30 seconds into the game, by the way. It was a great play. Let's talk about that for 2 seconds because it's the small bit of happiness from that game. Mantha was bringing the puck through the slot, kind of moving upwards. And then this is what gets me about this line is they have so much inherent chemistry. And if you want to know what chemistry is, just watch that play. Mantha's moving away from the net at a slight angle. His body is positioned away from Larkin, but he's aware that Larkin's coming in from beneath the defenders. Mantha's eyes aren't on Larkin. Just hooks his stick a little bit, slides the puck right through the defenseman's legs, right to Larkin, who comes in, unfettered break, and buried the puck. It was just so perfect the whole way through. I was like, that's exactly why that line meshes. That right there. Like, they're just so in sync. Don't.
Yep.
Don't.
I'm thinking it.
Yeah. I can see it on both of you. Everything else, though. Yeah, the Abdelkader, De La Rose, Helm had their moments, actually. There was a one point where Helm spun around on the backhand and passed the puck from the corner to Abdelkader, who was crashing the net, who put the puck on net. And I was like, oh, okay. But in general, the occasional Athanasiou break... Nothing of consequences.
Did Franz Nielsen play?
No, but he's back in, I believe, tonight.
So are we finally going to see Hirose, Nielsen, Athanasiou back together? Because that's the line tinkering that should happen. Reunite a line that worked for you last year.
I believe it'll be Nielsen centering that line. If he plays, it's all kind of up in the air. Nemeth, DeKaiser, and Ernie were all doubtful for today. Nemeth,
what?
Yeah. This was as of yesterday from Helene St. James. Nemeth, I think, might go. DeKaiser had that. DeKaiser sat out the Vancouver game because he had just a random upper body injury he got from a morning skate.
Okay, so we can talk fully, properly on this conversation. As of 11 minutes ago, the Red Wings tweeted, top line, Bertuzzi-Larkin-Mantha. Second line, Athanasiou, Nielsen, Glendening. So close.
Ugh.
Third line, and Filppula, Hirose. That will be a defensive disaster. And then Helm, De La Rose, Abdelkader. Daly is on the top pairing with Hronek. Nemeth is with Green. Cholowski is with Biega. And Howard is starting. So that's... And then they said DeKaiser and Ernie game time decisions.
Ernie, was that from the forearm shiver that Tyler Myers gave him?
Sure.
Look, I know Ernie was part of that scuffle, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have been penalized. But if you're 6'7" and you give someone a forearm to the face when they're on their knees, like that's just a coward's move, right?
Yep, 100%.
Shame on the refs for missing that, and shame on the league for not doing anything about it. I'm actually really surprised about that. That wasn't cool. Ernie did go down less because he was hurt and more because he wanted to protect himself.
Wait, what happened?
Ernie and Myers got into a scuffle, and Ernie had him in a headlock and was really just dumbing him for the whole time.
I'd forearm shiver him too.
While he was on his knees?
While I was in a headlock at one point, getting dummied?
Yeah, but you're 6'7". Don't get dummied.
Well, don't put me in a headlock, Ryan.
That's, you know what? Fine. That's cool. Weird injuries, but we're going to be seeing this all season. Defensive combos I'm not terribly concerned about. It's going to be a mess all season.
I don't know. Trevor Daley, Philip Hronek has its concerns for me.
Yeah, well, we saw what Trevor Daley's positioning did to Moritz Seider during the preseason, threw them all for a loop. So I don't see a lot of defensive accountability, especially with Hronek, who excels when he's able to play his offensive game.
Just pray for Jimmy.
Who else are you going to put there, though?
Cholowski. Blashill's been playing them together a good chunk this season.
Yeah, but then you have nothing else down the lineup.
You have Green and Nemeth. And you have Biega and Daly. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
boy.
Yep. Good point.
Biega didn't see a ton of ice time, I don't believe. From what I saw of him, it's essentially what was described. He's feisty. He works his butt off. He looked like he was trying to do a lot out there, possibly too much, but it didn't really hurt. He had the puck in the offensive zone a couple times along the blue line, and I saw some really good puck movement laterally across the blue line, but it was almost like he was just trying to do too much to show what he could do. Good skater, works hard, fine as a 7th defenseman or 6th on this team.
You could just say that description and insert almost anyone's name on our team.
Good skater?
No, like
what team are you watching?
Tries hard.
That I have a hard time giving anyone that label.
Our team is just a bunch of people who try hard, but they have no NHL level talent.
I don't think the aging veterans try hard, really. Speaking of defensemen, there's been rumors that Eriksson's been close to coming off IR. He hasn't come off IR as of today. It was a little bit surprising to me. I was expecting this to go on a little bit longer, but if he does, then that'll be more bodies for the team to be able to use, which I think will be good, just for the sake of they have no one else to play.
Jonathan Ericsson is good for the Red Wings. You heard it here, Ryan Hanna, folks.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I don't know what else to give you. Let's talk about the blending of the lines.
Yeah.
So, Blashill said it. He mentioned that he might have to tinker with the top line or tinker with the lineup to spread out the scoring because no one else is producing.
Twitter melted down.
Here's the thing. It was bound to happen. We all know it was going to happen. And even if it doesn't happen tonight against Calgary or tomorrow night against Edmonton, it's going to happen at some point. You know what's going to happen after that? The lines will come back together.
Yeah, probably. We just were hoping he'd make it longer than literally less than what's been 11 days.
Is that? Oh, yeah. Wow. It's only been 11 days.
October 5th is when it started. What's the date today?
The 17th.
Oh, 12 days.
12 days.
12 days. Sorry.
I don't know. It's
couldn't even make it 2 weeks. That's hilariously predictable.
Right. But what else were you honestly expecting from this team?
Oh, no, I expect nothing from this team. Okay, so here's the approach.
Sorry, this team and how they handle their lines. As well.
Here's the thing. And based on the way Yzerman's done everything this year, I think he very much gets it, but I'm still unsure if the message has been relayed to Blashill because some things he's changed for the better. Some things are same old Blashill. But for all intents and purposes, the bottom 9 forwards on this team don't matter to the future of this team.
No.
Not at all. Athanasiou and Hirose, and that's literally it. End of statement. There's nobody else who's going to factor into the long-term success of the Red Wings. The top line is everything. You keep them together because you want them developing together. None of them are older than 25. Yeah, that's the important thing to remember here. I do not care what he does. Obviously I want to maximize Athanasiou and Hirose, but by and large, I do not care what happens to the bottom 9 of this team at any point, whether they call up Rasmussen, Svechnikov, whoever, so on and so forth. Don't care. But that top line has to stay together because they need to continue to develop to be one of the best lines in the league. If you want this season to be a stepping stone to future success of the Detroit Red Wings, that line is the stepping stone.
And if you want this season to be fun for fans.
Yeah, at least we are thoroughly entertained 25% of the game when they're on the ice together.
I suppose they can do whatever they want on the road, but at home have that line together.
I mean, we watch on TV.
Yeah, but they want butts in the seats.
I agree with everything that you said. It's objectively right. I don't think anyone can disagree with that fact. Here's the counterpoint that people will make, and I don't even believe it's a counterpoint more than a necessary evil or an undeniable truth, which is that, and I tweeted this out, something does need to change with at least the middle 6, but in reality, if you break up Helm, De La Rose, Abdelkader, who cares? The bottom 9 forwards. The scoring does need to come from somewhere else. The tinkering is going to happen no matter what because of that fact. The elephant in the room is whether the team can actually do anything. Yeah, you can spread out the scoring to try, or spread out the talent to try and get scoring from somewhere else, but is the ugly truth, spoiler, yes, the fact that there isn't enough talent or there isn't the right talent on this team to get more than 1 or 1.5 effective lines each game. That is the fact of the matter, but it's not like the team is just going to roll over and admit that, right? Blashill's not going to say, well, Larkin, Bertuzzi-Mantha has been amazing, and Abdulkader Helm De La Rose have randomly been contributing once every 3 or 4 games, which is more than you expect out of a fourth line. That's been really underproducing in recent years. But we know there's nothing that can be done about the middle six, so we're just going to leave them as is, and it's going to suck for those 6 players and for that percentage of the game. A third of the game you're going to hate watching. It's that's just not going to be how it goes. They're going to try, they're going to shuffle it out. It's going to mess up. It's going to suck for different reasons. And it's going to just be the sliding puzzle. And then, 20% of the time we're going to have the right picture and the rest of it's going to look distorted because that's just the way this team operates. That's the way Blashill likes to do things. And really that's the way the NHL operates. You always see coaches do this.
Another thing I was thinking about is Blashill doesn't necessarily potentially doesn't care about the future successes of the team if he's not a part of it.
That's a hot take.
I don't think it's that hot. How many coaches got fired last year in the bottom 10 of teams of the league?
Basically everybody but Blashill.
Yeah.
Right, but
So why would he care? His job right now is present and to win games. Although I do think keeping the top line together certainly helps us win more games. His job is to figure out how to make the more wins happen at the present time, and if you got to try and spread out the scoring, that's what you got to do.
I would buy into that immediacy argument if this was Ken Holland. But Steve Yzerman has been if only one thing, clear about the fact that this is going to take time. He does not expect wins this season.
When you look at the roster, you can definitely say that. But
it might be a residual feeling from when Holland was there. What's
Blashill going to do? Sit there with 3 guys who are producing and all the other lines are getting slaughtered and not try and move things around?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen no matter what.
Move pieces around below them. And that's what he hasn't really done yet.
I mean, if he moves Mantha or anyone off the top line down and we still lose... Just put him back on the top line and we'll make everybody happy.
But now we have Nielsen back and Athanasiou back for the first time this year. And again, according to the projected lineups, before we pile on Blashill too hard, he did not change that top line.
Exactly. This hasn't even happened yet.
And again, you want depth scoring on the second and third lines. Maybe put guys on that line who can score. Now, here's the sad fact of the reality. We have been sitting here all year, and I still maintain it, and I still agree with their opinions, that Luke Glendenning's been playing the best hockey of his life. He has 1 goal that's not on an empty net. He's not an offensive guy.
No, he,
as good as he's been, should not be on the second line. Now, the counter argument there is, who else would you put there? The answer is, try literally anybody. The goal of the second line on the Detroit Red Wings in 2019-2020 is not to find guys who can score on the second line. The goal on that line this year is to find guys who can get Athanasiou going. Glendening does not do that. He's not a puck distributor. He's not the guy to hit Athanasiou in stride at the right point. Nielsen could be that guy. We've seen it in the past.
That's what I was about to say. I think that's what they anticipate that line being.
Yeah, is Hirose, Nielsen, Hirose, and Athanasiou had a fantastic finish to the end of last season, so I'm a little surprised to see Glendening there with Nielsen back instead of Hirose, but whatever.
Just give it 5 minutes in the game, Brad. It'll happen.
Either way, it's something different. It's a different look on the second line now. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to nitpick because, again, I really don't care that much how the bottom 9 works. But my ultimate point being, tinker with the bottom 9, see if you can get anything going there before you even think of touching the top line.
Certainly exhaust all the other options before you take away from the one line that actually does work.
And in fairness, that does seem to be what's happening.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I prefaced with.
Now,
Ryan.
Now, Nielsen centering Athanasiou does not inspire a lot of confidence, but that's for a whole different slew of reasons.
Hey, Athanasiou's back on the wing. It's a start.
He's got this. Athanasiou has the speed for both of them, so Nielsen just needs to distribute.
Adam Ernie is someone I want to talk about.
He's been pretty invisible, huh?
No, he's been visible.
Offensively.
He's a pinball. That is my description of Adam Ernie. He is exactly, much like Biega, exactly what was prescribed. Gives 110%. Stopped Mantha from fighting and breaking his hand, which was great. I love that he did that.
That made the trade worthwhile.
It was the whole trade was worth it. He busts his ass. He doesn't shy away from offensive opportunities, but that's where I stop because, like you've mentioned before, and I think like you've mentioned before, once he gets the puck, there's no offensive anything there. He's not dynamic. He doesn't look up to make a good first pass. He doesn't really drive the puck to the net. He just kind of keeps moving in the direction that he was moving in when he got the puck. He's a pinball, and that's fine. I still like Adam Ernie as that energy guy, as a guy who plays solid defense on the third or fourth line.
Great fourth liner.
Yeah, but the hopes of an untapped offensive game that I was talking about a lot this year, nothing's concrete. Again, it's only been a handful of games, are quickly diminishing.
Who's he going to learn from?
Oh, to be a low-scoring bottom six forward? Buddy, he's got the world in front of him.
I meant from someone who has a pedigree of scoring for a long time in the NHL.
You know what? I don't really buy into this whole like players learning from players is being such a dramatic part of their development. I think when you're talking about something like a guy putting up 20 goals, so much of that is just in their skill. If you have the skills to do it, you'll show it.
A good coach will teach you how to shoot better, how to skate better. Good teammates will teach you the same things. Good teammates will teach you how to pick up the puck better off the cycle, or where to go in the offensive zone when you don't have it.
We're going to have a lot of bottom six forwards then.
What nobody can ever teach a player like Adam Ernie is just natural offensive instinct. He doesn't have it.
It's nuanced.
It's one of those things you want to say you can teach a player this, that. It is just, same thing goes in the defensive zone, natural defensive awareness, like a la a Nick Lidstrom had. Mm-hmm. You have it or you don't. You can teach almost every other part of the game of hockey. You cannot teach that. Adam Ernie apparently has it in spades defensively, does not have it at all offensively. Like, we were at the game against Dallas. We watched him on 2 separate occasions. Just stare down his line mate in a perfect position, perfect pass, perfect lane, and just decide to keep skating with it. He is what he is, again. So when Abdelkader or Helm or Delarose gets injured on the fourth line and they need a fix, he's your guy.
And that's fine. If that's what it comes down to, that's fine.
If you get a fourth line player who plays on your team for like 4 to 6 years and you traded a 4th round pick for him, that's a good value trade.
Yeah, that's whatever.
Yeah, the trade was supposed to be, he potentially has offensive upside. We gave up almost nothing for it. If he ever ended up having some offensive ability, we would have been like, this is amazing.
It's a home run.
More than we ever thought we'd get out of it. But I think he more is what he is than what he's not.
And it's still a fair trade.
Yeah, and as his year wears on, he either produces and great, that was unexpected, or he doesn't, and his extension, or if he wants to stay with the team, will be sure as hell will be cheap, right? You want a cheap third or fourth line grinder who plays good defense and has a ton of energy? Awesome. Bring him in cheap. Last thing I want to talk about, Svechnikov, just before they made the trip to Vancouver, or was it the game prior, was sent down to Grand Rapids. So he had his entire stint up in Detroit, sat in the press box and didn't play a game and went back down. What that boils down to is the team had a lot of uncertainty surrounding injuries, which, fair. A lot of them, they were uncertain as to when those guys would return. They weren't anticipating Nielsen getting hit in the face with the puck. And they didn't know specifically when Athanasi would come back, so that's why they called him up. But he did never see a game during that stint and then was sent back down to Grand Rapids eventually.
But Grand Rapids did see games in that time.
Yeah.
I still hated this.
Is he hurt? Do we know? Do we not know?
It's the only reason I can think of, because there's no good reason why they would have brought him up just to sit him when they could have.
Well, I guess we'll see at the next Grand Rapids game. If he plays, we know it was all BS. And if he doesn't, maybe they just got him to Detroit to get their medical staff looking at him.
Well, we talked about this, right? Practicing with the team, getting involved with the systems, getting the team doctors monitoring that reconstructed ACL. There's a lot of different reasons why. And also, maybe it's just Occam's razor, right? Maybe it's the simplest solution. They brought him up. They thought maybe we have to play him. He's going to be our first call-up. If we don't, all right, sucks, but we need to have him here in case we need him. So that's that. And they view him as a guy who they know is already going to dominate the AHL. He's demonstrated that he has that ability. So if he misses 1 or 2 games, what's the big deal? And I tend to agree.
I'll buy that.
I'm not too torn up about the fact that he missed a game or 2 in the A. Was that how much it was?
I think it was just a game.
It was against Rockford, right?
Yeah.
It certainly would have been nice to get him in the Red Wings lineup, considering the void of secondary scoring we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if he's there and he's not injured, he should have at leleast seen a game.
It's not the way I would have handled it. Right? Like, it's definitely not how I would have done it.
When we have Steve Yzerman on the podcast, you can let him know. Write this down.
Well, when do we have him scheduled on in a couple weeks?
The schedule is full. The guest list is full right now.
Yeah,
now, again, we don't know, though. It could be Yzerman's decision to recall Svechnikov, but is it his decision or Blashill's decision to put him in the lineup?
It's Yzerman's. Let's be real. Yzerman's not giving Blashill an iota of control over something that he wants to happen, and I think we've seen that demonstrated.
Jeff Blashill's seat is so hot he can't sit down. The
chair is lava.
Yeah, the chair is lava.
Someone asked me recently, they're like, what's your take on Jeff Blashill and where he is right now? I think Jeff Blashill's seat was hot. And I think when Steve Yzerman came in, he did his assessment, and he's said implicitly and explicitly, this team needs a lot of work. We're not going to see wins right now. And I think that removed the immediate need for success from Blashill. That need to succeed, sorry for rhyming, has been lifted from him for the time being. All they want him to do is be able to develop players. He has a good rapport with Yzerman. He has a good reputation across the league.
Yeah, everybody likes that guy.
He's genuinely a smart hockey mind. Like, he's a very smart hockey mind. There's whether or not you agree with his coaching tactics, he's a smart hockey guy. So the Yzerman has no reason to shake things up and move him right now. If some things are going well, and those some things are things that you need to be going well right now, yeah, you keep Jeff Blashill. But here's the kicker: the moment Yzerman builds or starts to turn the corner on this rebuild in a way where he thinks success should start to come, I don't think Blashill...
Success in terms of wins.
I don't think Blashill's leash is very long. I think Yzerman is not about to screw around and delay a rebuild because a coach can't keep up when the team has been in purgatory for this long. I think the moment they start to turn the corner, the pressure is back on Blashill. I don't think he's on the hot seat right now, but the hot seat's in the same room.
At the end of the day, it's a performance business, and we'll see how true those statements hold up as the losses start to pile. I believe your statement, and it certainly makes sense. Like, we're all about player development this year. We're not trying to win.
Yeah.
But pressure comes from everywhere when the losses start to pile up, so we'll see what does ownership think. They may have a different philosophy, and it might not be right, but... They're the ones who signed the check.
Wouldn't that be something if ownership, through everything that happened with all the pressure to win and mortgage futures, now that they decide to, no, we got to get rid of this Jeff Blashill guy.
Well, you never know. Fans stop showing up, stop buying tickets.
They already have.
I know, but even more so. You never know. I'm not saying that's a certainty, but you never know. Mm-hmm. Things change all the time. If all of a sudden nobody's showing up, they're not selling tickets, not selling merch, it might shake it up somehow.
You don't want an Adam Ernie jersey?
Oh, it's on the to buy list.
That actually has to be your next up, right?
I refuse to buy an NHL jersey with his name on it when they're like $200.
There are a lot of bones.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the rest of the league before heading into overtime.
Was this jersey in this team store?
Probably not.
Yeah, everyone's was.
Was it? I don't know. I didn't see many.
The Edmonton Oilers. How long can they maintain this?
Yesterday?
How long is Connor McDavid's contract for?
All the years.
So they could sustain it for a bit longer. Because what was it? I heard a stat today. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and James Neal scored like 70% of the team's goals this year.
Connor McDavid is on a career place in points right now.
He's got 17 points in 7 games.
What a chump. He's not even on pace for 200.
Those are always like CHL numbers.
He's on pace for 199 points.
And it's 7 games into the season. That's not a huge sample size, but that's not a tiny sample size either.
When you're Connor McDavid and you play 80% of the game, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Here's the thing. If I gave you 5-1 odds, but you had to put down $100 on Connor McDavid scoring 150 points, would you take that bet?
$100 on 5-1?
5-1.
I wouldn't do it. I don't love the rest of the team enough.
You just have to love Connor McDavid and one competent bum on his line.
I think the point total for me to make that bet. 125, 130.
That's almost definitely going to happen, right? If he stays healthy and plays with Leon Draisaitl, he's definitely going to crush 120.
Yeah, 120 for sure. 125, 130 is maybe.
I want to see what the expected goals were. Oh my god. The game against the Flyers, which Edmonton won, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl won. I think the expected goals for Flyers had over triple Edmonton's expected goals for 3.87 to 1.12.
My God.
Can you
Doesn't matter when you have someone like Connor McDavid.
That's a game breaker. He is legitimately a game breaker. And let's not sleep on Leon Draisaitl either. Like, that guy is absolutely on fire.
He gets a lot of shit, I feel like, too. People have been always on the horse of like, oh, he's
what do they have
Robin
for?
to Batman. Yeah.
$8.5 million for a guy who's going to be a consistent 100-point player.
People
with your
scoffed at it. I feel like one of us, probably me, scoffed at his contract too.
At least it's self-aware.
I don't care if it was.
Well, we're all wrong. I mean, I still love when people are like, "You were wrong about this," or "You guys should get better with your predictions." My man, if I was better with predictions, we wouldn't be making a podcast.
I haven't lost
right
an hour of sleep because of a bad prediction I've made.
We talk on this show twice a week. If we're making or if we're making only right predictions, we are cheating. We have seen into the future, and we're not letting you know.
I'm just throwing it out there. I had Edmonton finishing 4th in the Pacific.
Okay, here's the thing. Is this sustainable?
That's not even a good hot take. 4th? That's like top 50%.
Look at this dweeb. He'll take anything, right?
I'll take anything, because when you predict Edmonton to be at least passable, and they are, it's a monumental moment, because it's Edmonton.
In 7 games... Through 7 games, the top 3 point scorers in the NHL are Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and John Carlson in that order.
John Carlson? What?
14 points in 8 games.
What?
3 goals and 11 assists. 6 of those points are on the power play. So still a point per game, 5 on 5.
Who's the leading scorer on Washington? Like, goals-wise?
You'll have to give me a little bit for that.
I have a guess.
It is... Who? Okay, you each get a guess.
Tom Wilson, but I know it's not.
Since you're getting us to guess, I know it's not Ovechkin. So.
Or this is a ruse, and I've planned all of this.
Oh, it's Jacob Verana.
Yeah, I was going to go Verana.
It is John Carlson.
Oh, you said he has 3?
3. Oh, no, I sorted it wrong. Sorry.
Oh.
It was Alex Ovechkin. I juked you all.
Yes, the great misdirect of 2019.
I misdirected all 3 of us. You know, it was Alex Ovechkin with 5, Oshie with 4, and then Verana, Kuznetsov, and Carlson are tied at 3. Yeah, Ovechkin with a measly 8 points.
What a bum.
Carlson has that at 5 on 5. What a nerd. No, Edmonton. Getting back to Edmonton. Look, it's not sustainable, but when you have a player who's by far and gone the best player in the world, your predictions go out the window. He breaks analytics, he breaks the eye test, he breaks everything.
I got a question for you guys. Let me just pull it up. You keep saying whatever you're saying.
Just while you're doing that, I'm just pointing out that Edmonton's first in the entire NHL right now.
Are they?
Yep. There you go, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, they're 6-1 through 7 games.
Carolina's 6-2. Colorado's 5-0-1.
So here's my buddy in a different fantasy league got this trade offer. So my buddy has McDavid and Joel Edmondson, and someone offered him Mark Scheifele and Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, that's going to be a no for me, dog.
No, you don't trade Connor McDavid. You just don't.
You don't. No.
In fantasy.
You don't.
Really?
You don't.
I told him to make that trade.
Who? Sorry.
Joel Edmondson is his...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Connor McDavid will probably produce as much as Scheifele and Karlsson will for fantasy purposes. Connor McDavid and whatever player he has on his bench, you have to look at replacement level for fantasy, right? Because you can't play those 2 guys in one spot, which is essentially what he's...
Yeah, you can. You'd switch Edmondson for Karlsson.
No.
Karlsson.
I'm saying, like, essentially this trade is Scheifele and Karlsson for
McDavid.
But when you have a guy who can, say, play up to 80% of the value of those 2 players combined, and you can play him in one spot, it's foolish to split that up. He's too good of a talent.
If McDavid gets 150 points, I would say yeah.
But yeah, because here's the thing, too. It's not just McDavid and Edmondson. It's because it's one player. It's McDavid and whoever else you're fitting in your lineup that night. So because you have just one player there, instead of putting in a Scheifele there, you could still throw in like a second-line winger for some team.
Let's add arbitrary fantasy value. Let's say Carlson and Scheifele add up to 2.5 in fantasy currency.
This isn't gonna. This is only gonna work because you're saying it's gonna work.
McDavid, I mean, yes, inherently that's what we do.
You're making up the data.
McDavid, I genuinely believe his talent level and production will add up to, even if it adds up to 2 in this fake fantasy currency, you can pick whatever bum you want on your bench and play him for more than 0.5.
I guess it also depends how many teams are in your fantasy league. If there's 1,000 like ours,
oh yeah,
and I'm one of your available players, then yeah, maybe not. I said yes because I think the two of them, depending on how your stats work in your fantasy league, could outpace McDavid.
do you guys want a regular, like, tiny little mini fantasy hockey segment on this show?
No.
How can ours be interesting because all of the players are taken?
Here's the thing.
Have you looked at our available players?
Fantasy hockey inherently is not designed, or hockey is not designed inherently for fantasy sports. I think it's fun, and I think
anti-American.
You can make it work, but it's just hard. It especially doesn't translate well to big leagues. Like, in fantasy football, any player can go off any week. Taylor Gabriel will get you 3 touchdowns and then leave the game with a concussion.
I've never played fantasy football. Isn't it mostly driven by your quarterback, running back, and kicker?
No.
No?
It depends on the way your league's set up. If your league is balanced well, every player should have essentially the same amount of value. Your kicker is a throwaway, but at the same time, they can go off and get you like 25 points, which is what like a good QB week is.
Okay.
We changed our rules this year, so our defenses are just like astronomically important, which I don't love, but I digress. Anyways, yeah, let us know what you guys think about a fantasy.
When I pulled up to see where Edmonton was in the league-wide standings, I noticed 2 really weird things.
Go.
The New York Rangers have only played 3 games.
Yeah.
Their schedule's bizarre. I think they have like 6 days off already.
6
in a row. I think they had like 4 or 5, at least 4 days off in a row.
We're 12 days. The Red Wings started late. We're literally over 2 weeks into the season, and they've played 3 games. So they've played 3 times in 14 days.
And the Leafs played like 6 and 8.
Now, just a few spots below them in the standings is a team that's played 8 games. Can we talk about how Dallas is 1-6-1?
Whoa, really?
Speaking of hot seats.
Jeez.
Wow. How is a team that, I'm not going to say loaded, but wow, 1-6-1. I can't.
People are talking about them being cup contenders this year.
Yeah, we never did our Central preview because of things, but man, I was going to
want that. Let us know if you guys still want a Central preview.
Yeah, I don't know about Dallas anymore.
Yeah, no, they were going to.
They're not looking great. Everybody says they're going to be cup contenders. I don't think so.
I think Dallas will lose at least 6 games this year. That's my hot take.
I think they might win one. But yeah, man, because you look at their top 6 forwards, they picked up Joe Pavelski, who's been invisible. Jamie Benn, we all saw his regression coming, but was it going to be this steep? Tyler Seguin is almost carrying that offense single-handedly right now, and it's not carrying him very far. Heiskanen in the game we watched, that dude is unreal.
He's so good.
They had the best goaltending tandem in the NHL last year. They've got John Klingberg on defense, Heiskanen, a couple other competent bums.
Rupe Hintz is really good.
Yeah, and he looked great against Detroit, which, whatever, but Detroit was objectively the better team that day. Corey Perry's finally playing for them again. Like, this was the team that was really good last year, and then because of their additions and guys like Heiskanen aging, oh, yeah, they should be amazing. They're 1-6-1. They're 1/10 of the way through this season.
Yeah, and if you don't stop those losses early, they just start to pile up. And they could be out of it before even December.
How rare are 5-game winning streaks, even for the top teams? And a 5-game winning streak takes them to 500 right now.
Oh, it's going to be a grind. They're going to have to go on an absolute heater.
The Devils are winless. Jack Hughes is pointless. Not pointless, but he is without any points. If you cite Jack Hughes plus minus anything other than a dumb joke, you're stupid and I hate you. People's aversion, like, plus minus is a garbage stat and you shouldn't use it to indicate anything. And I know we get a lot of questions. It's like, I know you're not supposed to use this, but no, just don't use plus minus.
It's a great team indicator.
Don't use it for an individual player.
If everybody's a minus, your team sucks.
All of a sudden, there's a lot of people who are conveniently using plus minus, and they think it's a huge deal when talking about Jack Hughes.
But here's the thing. We all saw this coming. We said Jack Hughes is probably going to struggle mightily defensively because of who he is as a player, but he should generate offense. I don't care about his plus minus. I'm concerned about the goose egg after 6 games.
He's not been getting a ton of minutes. He's been playing with like Miles Wood, I believe.
He did have one hit both posts on the goal line last game.
When you have a team that was poor one year and in one offseason you shake up the entire makeup of the team with a ton of players, a ton of different personalities, a ton of different talents, it's going to take a while because that coach wasn't building systems for a successful, talented team prior. He's building systems much like what Jeff Blashill's trying to do.
This is the team that they're auditioning for Taylor Hall to re-sign with.
Yeah, there's a ton of
big
pressure.
one.
I'm going to go a little off your point here, though, because I'm going to disagree slightly. New Jersey was bad last year, yes, but they were a playoff team the year before with largely the same core, and they had a healthy Nico Hischier and Taylor Hall that season. Those guys were not healthy for a bulk of last season, which is a big reason why New Jersey regressed. So it's not like we were predicting a basement team to suddenly be good. They were good, kind of regressed to the mean a little bit, but also got decimated by injuries and thus made them bad. Then they picked up Gusev, Hughes, Subban, and have everybody healthy again.
Since that last playoff run, Vatanen as well.
Yeah, so I would say that this New Jersey team should be far closer to the iteration of their 17-18 season versus their 18-19, and so far they're worse than both.
Something that baffles me. Why are the big talking heads consistently referring to Wayne Simmons as a major key?
Oh yeah, they
addition
picked
to
him
that?
up too.
Yeah, but he's a bottom 6 forward now at best.
Right? Like he
was an
is.
afterthought in Nashville last year, even when they were going to the playoffs.
It's just pure name value or name recognition that's driving that. But even right now, the Rangers and the Devils are playing. It's like halfway through the first period. It's tied. Wayne Simmons already has 2 more minutes played than Jack Hughes. Again, I'm not saying Jack Hughes is a savior and he's being wronged and he should get more ice time. No, the kid's a rookie and you have to ease him into it for sure. But Wayne Simmons should not, with all that talent, Wayne Simmons should not be a centerpiece of your team. And John Hines, there's been rumors that he's going to be let go. It turns out that the assistant GM is now going to be on the coach as his assistant. And I say quotes because it's really just, this is upper management saying, hey, go in there and see what the problem is. Is it the players? Is it the coach? Is it something else? So he's very much being focused on right now.
Generally, the best way to resolve any major issue in any major company is to give someone in a position of power a babysitter.
It's worked in the past.
Yeah.
I can't think of any examples, but I believe it's worked in the past.
And in theory, it's just flawless.
It's just, it doesn't click for me, though, because Hines is someone who's usually regarded as a good coach. Like, he brought that New Jersey team to the playoffs. It's been, once in 5 years for him, though.
Has he been there for 5 years already?
Quite possibly. I will look that up. That's what it seems like to me. The rest of the league, Anaheim is 5-2. Vegas is 4-3.
As expected.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
LA is probably undefeated or something.
2015 to present, so almost 5 years. No, LA's not good.
Well, the top of the league is Edmonton, Carolina, Colorado, and Buffalo, just like we all predicted.
Yes, exactly.
Buffalo, good for them.
Buffalo is 5-1-1. Plus 9
Do you have
goal differential.
our predictions, standing predictions?
Not in front
No,
of me.
I don't even want to glance at those.
I think I said Buffalo makes the playoffs.
I don't think you were there for like 2 different divisions.
Yes. Certainly not the Pacific.
And certainly not the Central.
And that, yep, so you're right.
Do we have anything else before we want to get into overtime?
What's his name was doing PEDs?
Valentin Zikov.
Yeah, what was the deal with that? What was he busted for?
So they said he said he wouldn't knowingly take performance-enhancing drugs, and then George McPhee basically came out and said, no, we knew you were doing it. This is not a surprise to anyone. You did them.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't really remember the last time a team kind of went against one of their players' statements.
I could see it if it was protecting the team, for example. Like, you don't want to imply that your team doctors were administering anything or providing any supplements knowingly, because these are people's careers and you can't have that, and the league would crack down on that. But I also don't know that full story. Didn't that just drop today?
Yeah, like 6 hours ago.
Yeah. And also, like, the statements from McPhee and everyone else were, like it's been a little bit hard to follow as to like what McPhee actually said. Apparently at one point someone misquoted him as saying substances when he said supplements, which is a totally different connotation there. I don't know. Anyways, the guy was doing it very obviously.
Russian gas, man.
Is it 20 games?
Yep.
20 game suspension.
He's not appealing it, I guess.
Oy. Yeah.
So he's done.
Yeah, he's just standing there like he can't touch his own shoulder. Just like, I don't know what it was.
I didn't knowingly take something. Can't like scratch his back.
We got some more breaking news here on the podcast.
Oh man.
And in his 127th NHL game, Victor Mete has scored a goal.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
He did it. He finally did it.
The madman.
Is there a
himself.
website? Did Victor Mete score? Victor's with a K, right? No.
He's a Canadian Victor Mete.
Thank
Did
God.
Mete score? It's a Twitter account. Did they tweet?
They better have. They had one job.
No, they haven't even tweeted yet. Wow.
Wow.
Shame on you, that Twitter account.
Bogus.
We're going to get into overtime, which for this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is brought to you by Motor City Garages. They're a family-owned and operated business with over 25 years of experience in the custom garage interior industry. They offer multiple custom garage options, including epoxy flooring, modular tile flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, the maintenance and preservation of your top line if you're the Detroit Red Wings, wall storage, and car lifts. They're servicing the Metro Detroit area and plan on expanding down the horizon. Enough of messy garages everyone is sick of walking through. It's time to turn it into something useful. Whether you like to work on your car or if you like an organized space, we have you covered. Motor City Garages, park in style. We're going to get over to Patreon. Midweek episodes, we only take Patreon questions for overtime to say thank you. John Evans says, hello, gentlemen. Greetings from Ohio. I heard the Red Wings broadcast mentioned Filppula gave Nielsen a Rolex so we could have his number 51 back. Whoa. Wondered if you were all NHL players and prominent free agents and wanted your number, what would be your price? Would you go for something nice like an expensive gift or something more service-oriented such as babysitting or having your car washed? Also, I noticed we haven't started a Kickstarter to bring Rowan to the States, so I have an alternative idea. A Kickstarter to bring the podcast to Australia. Just throwing it out there.
I'm here
Too many spiders, too many snakes. I'm not going.
Yeah, I'd sooner bring him here.
Yeah.
I'll go to New Zealand and you guys can just call me in.
You want
so
us
the
to go
time
into
zone works.
his territory?
I'm not. Yeah, too many Rowans in
He'll
Australia.
skin us.
That's going to be a no.
I'm very fond of the number I had when I played hockey, and I would love to, like, if I'm imagining myself
Are
as
you
an NHL player.
69 or 420?
420. No, I was 14.
I'm 19, so I can't sign with the Red Wings then.
I was 00.
Attaboy.
The hate for 00 kills me. I think 00's hilarious.
My
Arguably one of the greatest numbers of all time.
my new number on my new team is in honor of Red Wings legend Luke Witkowski.
What did he even wear?
I'm 28 now.
That is that's a
Bad
a
number.
plug number.
That is, I'm on the
great.
fourth line, man. I am the plug.
Brad's an energy guy. Who would have thought?
Everyone. Have you met him? I keep trying to signal to Brad during this episode that for some reason that chair is squeaking, so to not move as much, but he's just been shifting relentlessly because he's so full of
If
energy.
I stay still, no, it's the opposite. If I stay still for a period of time, I am going to fall asleep.
It's like dividing by 0. Brad sits still.
What would I give? Assuming I just am making an average salary, let's say $3 million. I'm not going to give $100,000. I give $20,000
For what? Sorry, to get the number?
to get the number.
Oh,
you want.
I'd give a Rolex.
Yeah, Rolex. Simon Anderson says, hey, boys, I was looking at Jonathan Erickson's. Oh, Simon Anderson, I believe, is the one, for if I'm getting this wrong, I don't have the paper in front of me, sent us these awesome Russian nesting dolls, these Red Wings Russian nesting dolls, and it's all Red Wings players going all the way down.
What? Where are they?
It's at my place.
Why do you get them?
Because it's going to go in the studio. I'm not going to bring more stuff here for, a month just to bring it somewhere else.
So we don't get to enjoy it.
Is
You
the-
just get
not
to
for a
keep it
month.
all to yourself.
Sitting in my dining room
Is the
table,
middle
man.
one a tiny Yuri Hoodler?
No, it's all Russians.
Oh,
Yeah, and this is old. So we got Fetisov in there. We got.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll take pictures of it and post it. It says, hey, boys, I was looking at Jonathan Erickson's Elite Prospects page, and I realized that this is his 14th year in the organization, and according to Cap Friendly, his estimated career earnings is almost $37 million US. Sure isn't bad for a guy who was picked 291st overall and had 1 point in 81 SHL games before coming over. Can't say that I miss him on the ice that much nowadays, but he sure is a gem. Do you think he'll play it all this year, or is it under the radar Zetterberg / Hossa thing that they got going on with him? All the best.
That is incredible.
Good for him. Good for him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all for the worker. Maximize your earnings. Even if you suck, maximize. It's not your job to worry about your employer's pockets.
Oh, if someone was going to be a fool and give me that kind of money, I would too.
Absolutely. You don't negotiate down like that chump Connor McDavid.
Yeah, what an idiot.
That was my prediction, and I very may well end up being wrong here. I still don't believe he's going to play a ton of games. Like, he's just been beaten up so much. And to have a soft tissue injury hold you out the most like of the start of the season, you guys
Start calling it something else,
you
Ryan.
guys are relentless.
Every time you say soft tissue, me and Brad look at each other.
You know most of your body is soft tissue, right?
I wish. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, that's not the case for me.
I didn't think I didn't think there was any more lanes for you there. I was like, he's exhausted everything he possibly could.
Never.
And then you just hit me with the I wish, and I just like cracked.
Yep.
Anyways, he might come back sooner than expected. I don't see him playing a ton of games. He's just beaten down, and that's not an indictment. Anyone who's taking that as an indictment on him, look, I've always been one of the first to criticize Eriksson. That's not what this is. He's just worn down. Like you said, he's been in the organization for the better 14 years at this point. He's not going to play a ton. Everett Johnson says, howdy partners. You know what time it is. Saddle up and prepare for the revisionist wrangle. Evan and Ryan, you're out walking through the woods somewhere outside of a fictional town in Germany and accidentally travel back to the 2018 NHL entry draft. One of you decides to assure then Red Wings GM Ken Holland that Filip Zadina is the correct player to choose. The other has recently seen Quinn Hughes' absolute bomb of a shot that resulted in his first NHL goal against the LA Kings and decide to try to sway Mr. Holland to pass on Zadina and select Hughes 6th overall. Brad, for all intents and purposes, you are Ken Holland. It becomes your job to listen to the cases made by Ryan and Evan and pick a winner. I pick Hughes.
No.
I didn't get to pick last time.
Oh.
Brad, yeah.
So I have to take Filip Zadina?
Yeah, you do Zadina first.
And no, you go first. You got to pick, so I get to go second.
All right, so this is... are we allowed to speak as if we know the future? All right, Ken Holland.
I don't know.
Ken Holland. Look, I know Zadina is going to be there at number 6, and that's going to be amazing because we are all expecting him to go 3rd or even 4th. Zadina is a fantastic talent, but Quinn Hughes, you know how we've been talking about his ceiling if everything goes right, this is how dynamic he could be? By every single measure, that is exactly how dynamic he is. The Red Wings don't have a number 1 defenseman, and they don't have a number 1 defenseman that can contribute offensively like how Quinn Hughes can. You have to pick Quinn Hughes. He is exciting. He'll put butts in the seats. He went to Michigan. He is the offensive dynamo on the blue line that we haven't had since Nick Lidstrom. Quinn Hughes will be considered the steal of the draft. I don't know if I actually believe that at pick 6. Evan, are you with us?
Yeah. I wasn't listening to you because it's all bullshit and it doesn't matter.
That is a power move right there.
That's his whole argument. That's it.
Who scores goals on the Detroit Red Wings other than Anthony Mantha? I rest my case.
Dylan Larkin. Ken Holland, what's your choice?
I mean, Ryan had the better argument there, but I respect the power move, so I'm torn.
I can't be mad at you if you choose him because that was a good power move.
If you talk to every other GM at that draft and Filip Zadina was sitting where we were, they would take him.
If I'm nitpicking, you made one argument against yourself, where you said Quinn Hughes will put butts in the seats. At that time of the draft, nobody would have put more butts in the seats than the high-end scorer falling to
All
us.
right. If you're going to pick nits, then...
I forget what we said about Quinn Hughes. Like,
we liked him, but
we were low to start, came around. I don't think any of us had him. You might have actually haven't had him as your preferred pick. Brad and I were on Bouchard and Boqvist because they were better.
I was on
perceived better.
You were on
all
Boqvist.
around.
I was on Bouchard.
Yeah, perceived better all around players.
Yeah,
which again, I'm not going to call that right now. Like that's still
yeah. No, Boqvist and Bouchard, even though they haven't made the NHL yet, have looked great where they've been. So Yeah, this one, revisionist history on 2018 is actually a touchy subject right now. So the loser of this one is the one who asked the question, because I'm upset now.
He's keeping score, so you do have to make a pick, but I'll let you sort that out on Twitter, or if you want to do it now.
Because it's hard, because like I know what's happened with both of them since, but you would have needed to make you picking Hughes was your mistake, because it's hard to talk out of Zadina at that point.
I know.
So I'm going with Evan on that one.
Correct.
Matt McKay says, hey guys, with the team in desperate need of a star player, which prospect in the 2020 draft would be the best fit for the team right now? Thanks for all that you do and keep up the good work.
Alexi Lafreniere.
Yeah, it's Alexi Lafreniere only because he's the best player, but that's also indicative of how good the rest of the draft is, because legitimately if the Red Wings pick top 5, by all rights right now, that is someone who's going to dramatically increase their team and is someone who has a chance to be the team's best player.
I'll even go a step further. The biggest thing the Red Wings forwards lacking right now is positional, whatever, right wing, left wing, center aside, is an elite playmaker.
Yeah.
Alexi Lafreniere is the best playmaker in this draft.
Yeah. The elite playmaker, which we were... Again, this isn't talking about who the Red Wings ended up selecting, but that's why we were so high on Trevor Zegras at number 6 for the Red Wings. Because he was perceived outside of Jack Hughes to be the best playmaker in the draft.
Yeah. Mind you, I would gladly take a Quinn Byfield as well.
God, yeah.
Quinn Byfield positionally is the biggest need because he's a center, but Lucas Raymond and Alexi Lafreniere are the playmakers, so that has to be factored in. I know Red Wings fans aren't going to want to hear it, but like as far as need, out of guys in the top 5, Cole Perfetti is probably the least of the Red Wings needs.
Yeah.
So, I still like the player. I still have him in my top 5, but... if we're talking strictly needs here.
Eric Jeske says, gents, I'm curious, how do you see the long-term evolution of this overtime segment to be? As the podcast grows in popularity and more patrons sign up, it's not hard to imagine the questions and comments will become too many or too cumbersome to reply to each. Even now, when you guys get to the segment, I can feel you groan when you see how many questions are in the pipeline. I do it mostly to make these guys groan because they have no idea coming in. At least in its current incarnation, I can see overtime's days to be numbered. I know you know this, so what's the plan?
Overtime won't ever go away.
No, it's
we might have to start like picking the 5 or 10 best or something like that.
Might have to talk less before overtime.
Maybe overtime, like we do a full overtime once a month, Patreon exclusive. I don't know. There's ideas to be had there. We don't have a plan yet.
And don't get too tied into any of those suggestions either. Like
that's just
we're gonna do
options.
what makes the community the happiest, because the show is us and you guys. Yeah, like that's what makes up the Winged Wheel podcast. So, it's not just us, and we have no intention of losing sight of that.
We could keep it, we could trim it, we could move it,
we could censor it.
We could censor.
We only censor you.
Yeah, Rohan would never get a word in edgewise then.
Stone Turkey says, hi Diddley-O neighborinos. Ryan, how long have you been a Lions fan? I watched the Monday night game with a friend from Cali and was trying to explain what it's like to grow up loving the Lions. That game couldn't have been a more perfect microcosm of watching Lions football. It's mostly heartbreak. I know Brad's a Bills fan, but if Evan is present, curious if he's got a favorite NFL team.
I don't care at all about NFL.
Thanks for the great show, guys. Stay fresh, cheese bags. I'll be candid here. I'm a huge Lions fan. I love all Detroit sports. That developed and grew over time. It's been Red Wings from day one. Like the moment I remember legitimately one of my earliest memories as a child was watching the Red Wings. The Lions fandom was as I was a teenager and I was just starting to learn and get into football. So I don't have it like for Lions fans who are the same kind of like fans that I am about the Red Wings. I don't have their pain, but I still feel a lot of it. And Monday night was, I actually don't have words.
The touchdown that wasn't a touchdown, the 2 phantom face masks, the non-PI call, although that one's a little... I don't know if Lions fans can complain about that one because Patricia could have challenged it, and he didn't.
They wouldn't have overturned it.
No, I know, but I'm just saying you gotta stick to your guns even if it doesn't work out.
Explain to me why you guys like football. When I watch a game and it's
painful.
Let's say it's 3 hours on, I swear to God, 2.5 hours minimum is commercials.
I'm going to say this, having watched a lot of Lions football and having watched literal decades of hockey. That was the worst, most offensive officiating I've seen to ever alter a professional sports game in my entire life.
Because all the conversations were going around about the non-face masks, because I watched the game, the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown was the most egregious, because that's automatically reviewed, buddy. There was a freeze frame of him with the ball, with his knee down at the 1 yard line.
I think the argument was that he was still jostling and didn't get control until he was inside. But I actually was so sick to my stomach. I haven't watched any.
Like, that one was inconsequential because, like, obviously you're dreaming if you don't think that the Packers wouldn't have just punched it in on the next play anyway. But still, that one really confused the ever-living hell out of me.
I actually need, like, a couple weeks before I can talk about this. Like, I try to be pretty measured when I watch sports.
Is your team supposed to be good?
The Lions?
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh, so
no, it's a weird year because the Lions and the Bills were objectively both supposed to be terrible, and neither of them are. It's weird.
Joseph D'Elia says, "Hey boys, when are you going to have our leader, the anti-hero, the man from down under, the legend Rowan on your show?" Oh, we have plans for Rowan, don't you worry. Also, do you guys have any plans for the Grand Rapids meetup? I know Founders is a few blocks from Van Andel. Also, can we trade Green for Kyle Quincy? Thanks. We're still sorting out a specific date for Grand Rapids, but once we know, we will tell you guys first. Nick Toyas says, "Hey mates, do you think it's time for the Wings to move on from Athens to CU? Hasn't looked good all year, and with the upcoming prospects, it kind of seems like he's floating in a lame duck period. Why not dangle him to the Penguins and see if they would give up a first for him?"
He scores 40 goals easy.
The Penguins still want to compete, and Athanasiou plays well and with skill. Pair him with Crosby or Malkin, I'm sure the Penguins can find postseason success again. Thoughts?
Athanasiou is a 25-year-old high-scoring forward with a ton of skill on a rebuilding team. He's the exact type of piece you don't move in this scenario.
Well, unless someone gives us an absurd offer, but I couldn't imagine that.
I would trade Larkin if someone gave us the right offer.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't move young talent that's hitting or at least in their prime for anything less than a package.
I wouldn't even say package. Athanasiou's not worth a package. You're getting a significant impact player in return. The only way you move Athanasiou is if that impact player is at a bigger position of need.
Center or defense.
If Anaheim's like, hey, straight up, Hampus Lindholm.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, yeah, okay. But I'm not taking Josh Manson in like a 4th round pick. No.
Cody G says, "Do you guys have a threshold of patrons or sponsors you feel you need to can get before you can do this full time, and how far away are you from that goal?"
At a 0 to the end, probably.
We are a long way away from it yet. We're a lot closer at this point than I thought we'd be, which is awesome. So thanks everybody for that.
I'll tell you this.
We're not close.
I'll tell you this. The show, things came in this order for the show. Like, we started doing the show consistently. The show had received success, or has demonstrated success because of you guys, the listeners, and that surprised us. And then we upped our effort. And with the amount of time and effort, there was this weird little limbo period where we all were just kind of looking at each other and going, "Is this something that we can sustain?" Because it's a lot of time. And what you guys have done is, this isn't going to become a full-time job for us, or at least not anytime soon, but what you've done is make this more than worth it for us. And that's what your continued support allows us to do. And not only that, we can genuinely improve the show.
And Ryan doesn't mean that by saying we're just lining our pockets.
No.
It would horrify you guys to see what we've spent on audio equipment and a camera in recent weeks.
Yeah.
But that's why everything's been getting so much better lately.
Yeah, the ability for us to, us drop well over $1,000 on video equipment and invest in a lighting system thanks to Daniel Lighting, and, upgrade our audio equipment and buy stuff for a studio and be able to do all these giveaways, like a jersey giveaway that's coming. We gave away 20 shirts at the meetup, thousands of pieces of swag we've given away. Run these meetups, buy you guys food and drinks, and just make it be able to pay our own gas to get here, because we all have to drive into Brad's place and then soon drive into my place. That's what makes it. That's what you guys allow us to do. So that's what we're focusing on now. If that comes down the road, you will find nobody happier about that than us.
Speaking of, and another thing too, just some advice for the little kids that are listening to the podcast. If you want to make a lot of money when you get older, sell audio and video equipment. My God.
And then he goes on to say, "Congrats on getting Mac for the interview. I feel like he can be a gateway for you guys to get other big names on the pod." That's the plan. We've had a few guys of his caliber, but that's the most Stanley Cups we've ever had on the show. So that he's definitely by far and away. We can't wait to record with him in person. We're so pumped to hang out with Darren. Just Your Average Cheege says, "What's up with Dub Dub?" Or "What's up, Dub Dub?" Hosts, quick question for you guys. What's the worst version of the Wings jersey? Oh, that's got to be the Stadium Series, right? With the
They haven't really had a bad iteration of jerseys.
I think that one's the least good.
Like, I think I'm going back to the Cougars or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, the Colorado one.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah, that one jersey was fine, but it's my least favorite of everything they've had.
I was fond of it because it was different and it was neat, but like the modern D, the white gloves, the big, thick, angled stripe was all just, you can make an argument that it's objectively bad. I liked it because it was fun and we have such good jerseys all the time, so I'm not too concerned, but yeah, that one's definitely it. And I think Rowan said the exact same thing with a little bit more candidness. Hannah Lee says, hey guys, the highlight of seeing the Wings play in Vancouver was that nice Larkin goal. We had great seats left of the Canucks zone. Mantha is huge. I've seen him play live before, but I usually sit in the upper bowl. At Rogers Arena, that upper bowl sucks as there are railings in front of the seats. Being 5 rows back was awesome. Cholowski looked a little lost at some points of the game. I really want him to do well. He just didn't look good on Tuesday. Quinn Hughes seems to already be a fan favorite. Every time he touched the puck, people were expecting something great from him. Pettersson is super exciting to watch. The Canucks seem to be going the right direction with their younger players. Hopefully the Wings will as well. If Blash is going to blender the lines, put Athanasiou on the top line for a game to get him going. Unfortunately, we don't have enough good players to run 2 strong lines right now. Everything Hannah said in that comment was exactly correct, right?
Yes.
Hannah just got 2 blue heeler puppies, and we post them on Twitter. Help her go name them. Or Hannah, tell us what the names are. K-Waz says, hey guys,
Bert and Ernie.
I got back to from St. Louis on Monday. Yes, I flew a jet there and back. No, not alone. I got to catch game 2 of the NLCS. $120 US ain't bad for a ticket.
What? How?
And I realized how absurd it was that the Tigers didn't win a World Series. Why do you got to do this, man? With Verlander, Scherzer, Price, and Sanchez. Good grief. I know Brad trumpeted that we won't get through the season without injuries. But what even is this defensive core? St. Louis is pretty lit, too. Worth a trip if you can go when a sports event is scheduled. Garrett TV says, my dudes, kudos on the DMAC interview, and thanks for asking my question about instant replay and video review. Hey, man. DMAC answered one of your questions. Stick taping time. Did you boys read the Jason Bourne Athletic article about stick taping? If not, the too long didn't read is you're doing it wrong. To prove that, answer these few stick taping questions and have a look at what Jason said in his article. Heel to toe or toe to heel?
I always go heel to toe.
Heel to toe.
Yes.
I know the argument for going toe to heel, but I don't agree with it.
Open heel or taped heel?
I tape 1 inch from the heel.
Oh God, I just hope it goes on straight.
Tape heel, yeah. Edge to edge banding or overlap? Overlap.
Edge to edge, dude. Come on, you need puck feel. You don't want a sponge on your stick.
Overlap.
I overlap.
Yeah.
That's objectively
overlap,
wrong.
and then you use a puck to mash it down.
No.
Stick wax, you monster.
Half rip or full width tape? Full width.
Full width.
Double width. Double it again.
Wax or no wax?
Wax.
Oh yeah.
Wax if I have it. If I don't have it, whatever.
Yeah, I don't care. At the end of the day, I
Yeah.
don't care. I'm just going out there to drink a beer.
Yeah. Most importantly, white tape or black tape?
White tape.
Black to hide the puck.
Black.
White for peripheral vision and to hide the angle of the stick if you're a shooter.
We'll have to go and read that after. Rowan,
I am like, I have to read this now because
Yeah.
like stick taping is like a thing of mine.
and we didn't talk about this. We talked about how Hronek, it looked like he had no tape. It turns out he does have these those shaped stick grips that like basically stick right onto the face and the back of the blade.
So he's not actually taping his stick anymore?
There's these special grips.
Those have been, I don't know what the material is or like what the grippiness is like, but they've had those for a long time.
It's working.
The first ones were awful.
Yeah.
They were just terrible.
Yeah, no.
But these are probably pretty good.
Yeah, someone pointed them out. There's a lot of different brands, so I want to know specifically what one, but a few people pointed that out. Rowan says, good day, duds. While the Lions game gave me the big sads, but it probably prepares me for the incoming awful officiating in the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. The announcer ref shortly after in the Wallabies versus England game has drawn the absolute worst of the bunch. Probably going to need to tie a Stay Fresh cheese bag around my own head. When sporps is misery and Stay Fresh cheese bags offer you the escape to the land of peace and harmony via suffocation. That got dark. Stay Fresh cheese bags, a Fournier company, and miserable sporps fans' choice of the self-checkout. Oh man, colorful. How much are we all looking forward to playing the McDavids on the second night of a back-to-back? That's a big yikes. Anyways, people clamored for the kids to be brought up from Grand Rapids to apparently fix this. And I'm in the opposite camp. Don't expose them to the mess until you have to. Let them get heaps of good in Grand Rapids first. The science on this checks out. Trust me. I'm of the same mind.
I'm with you on that one.
Keep them as far away as possible.
Yes.
Did you know that if you rearrange the letters in Brad Crisco, you get... Did you know if you rearrange the letter? I love these. I don't know why they make me laugh so much. You know, if you rearrange the letters of Brad Crisco, you get Yox Darbik.
What the hell is that?
Which is Polish for undercover cop.
That's
Good Lord.
Incredible.
Did someone fact check that? But I hope that's true.
It has to be wrong, right? Like that.
There's no way. He's calling our bluff that we're not going to fact check it, and he's right.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, hosted by Ryan Hanna, Evan Lobsinger, and Yox Darbik.
I'm looking it up. How do you spell it?
Who knows?
Oh,
Why-
well, you have to.
You have the letters.
You have the letters in front of you.
I can't see through the tears. YOKS.
YOKS.
Jesus. DARRBK.
Say that again slower.
DARRBK.
DARRBK.
You work with data, don't you know long
Is
strings
this
of...
one word or two
No,
words?
two.
Yox is one word.
Stupid. Jersey time. Caps have had some cool jerseys over the year. Best one, go.
Oh, the ones they were rocking when we were playing them in the '98 Cup Finals. The diving eagle.
Those are good. Those are up there. They had a recent jersey.
It's not real.
No, it's
No,
not.
No.
Who would have could have guessed? No, I want to look these up. It's a very recent third jersey that they wore, and I think it's one of the most perfect.
The
iterations.
outdoor one against Chicago. I didn't love those ones. I hope that's not your answer.
It's their third jersey right now with the white shoulders, the capitals, the stars. No.
That's their
Sorry.
throwback,
No. The outdoor one with the W. I love that one.
Oh, I didn't like that one. I liked their mid '90s ones, then the originals, then I guess I'd go these ones, and then their current iteration. I don't love their.
They've had a lot of good jerseys.
I don't like their current ones though.
The Niebler says, "Hey boys, going to the game in Calgary tonight." Hoping for a better performance than the one in Vancouver the other night. I was watching that game with a Leaf fan, and they asked me if we had any other players on the team other than our first line. Sadly, we don't yet. Insert guy here. Should be a good game tonight, though. Usually we get a big fan base out at the Saddle Dome. I'm heading up to Edmonton tomorrow for the back-to-back. That's awesome. Even if we suck, it's worth the price of admission just to watch McDavid. Yes. Looking out in the schedule, it looks like the Red Wings will be staying overnight in Edmonton, so maybe I'll run into some players having a night out. I got lucky a few years ago when they stayed overnight, and I ran into Mrazek and Tatar at the casino, and I lost over $100 just so I can play blackjack with them. Have you guys done anything stupid like spend money or go out of your way to see a celebrity? Okay,
No.
I have a little bit of a braggy story. So I have a friend who's a musician. He's pretty successful. His name's Billy Rafool. You guys might know who he is.
No free ads.
Yeah, and you said that so fast, nobody understood it anyway.
So oftentimes when he plays concerts, like he played a festival in London, and Kings of Leon were the headliners. So we get to go, backstage where the artists are after and just hang out. And the general rule is act like you've been there before. And I do. I met the guys from who sings "Son of a Bitch." Nathaniel Rateliff.
And the Night Sweats. Yeah.
Met Nathaniel Rateliff. I've met the Kings of Leon. One of them is married to the Victoria's Secret model. I can't remember what her name is. All amazing, awesome people.
He absolutely remembers the name of the Victoria model, and
No,
he's
I
just
don't.
not saying it.
And
Definitely.
the one person who I saw there was Liv Tyler. And I saw Liv Tyler, and I was like, I have to go. Right? You don't watch Lord of the Rings that many times. I absolutely went and fangirled over Liv Tyler and made her take a picture with me. And
You don't even have the picture.
I do. I have it. I'll show it to you guys.
Okay.
I was dressed like a bum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, she was amazing. She was so sweet about it, but it's definitely something I shouldn't have done. It's probably why I haven't been backstage since.
You are dressed like every Italian that hangs out in the downtown Pizza in Kitchener in that picture.
Thank you, I think.
That's not a compliment.
Jeremy Dahl says, "Hey, handsome gents, I just signed up on Patreon about 2 months ago." Hey, thanks, man. So my first time writing in. I'm just blown away by how awesome you all are. I look forward every week to listening. Joining late, I even shotgunned about a year's worth of episodes to catch up. That is
What?
Jesus.
Jeremy.
Why?
We love you. I love your dynamic and insight into hockey. You're all funny motherfuckers. I'm new to hockey, wrestled growing up, and never followed any of the big sports. I bartend for work and was always put under a ton of pressure to try and follow sports for my job.
That's why he likes is he bartends. He's just hammered all the time.
After years of fighting, I gave it a try. I chose to follow the Wings and Penguins. Michigan has one of the best wrestling programs, and Kurt Angle comes from Pittsburgh.
What a legend.
It only took me a week to realize I hate Crybaby Crosby, and Zetterberg was the man. This guy gets it. That was the year he came back early from his back injury at the Olympics to play in the playoffs against Boston. Love his professionalism and his toughness. First jersey I bought was 40, captain, and it was sad when he had to retire so quickly. I usually watch with my dad. Great chance for us to bond. He's my best friend. He's a longtime hockey fan and always tried to get me into the Canucks, but he stopped watching in '94 after having his heart broken too many times. And like the great man he is, he now cheers for the Wings with me. What a man. I even got him his first jersey, Larkin. Unfortunately, we missed all the good years and are watching this painful rebuild. Thank God Yzerman is back. We usually listen to your podcast on our road trips to games. My goal is to see the Wings play in every arena. So far, I've crossed off 8. Man, this guy, I don't care if you got into the game late. You are a true diehard Red Wings fan.
He's gone to more arenas than I have, and I've been watching since I was 4.
Anyways, a bit late writing you our take, but we were in Montreal for the home opener, and the atmosphere was awesome. We had terrible seats, but there wasn't a bad one in the house, honestly. Watching that first line is amazing, and Mantha having previously been MR dolled, my dad, Doghouse played his way out. Abby was also surprisingly good and managed to also find his way out. Athanasiou, Green, and Nemeth, however, skated their way into it. Hronek was awesome as well. Loved watching the crowd getting more and more deflated as the Wings pulled ahead and the arena emptied with minutes left still. Great experience. So keep up the great work. I look forward to it every week. You guys are hilarious, entertaining, and informative. Love your stuff and look forward to supporting you for years to come. Cheers to Brad, Ryan, and sometimes Evan. I know we say this a lot, but you guys genuinely make us so stupidly happy. And that's the corniest thing I could possibly say. But that just feels so good to hear. And I'm so happy you're enjoying yourself so much as a Red Wings fan because that is so hard to do right now. P.S. I know you love dogs. I'm not good with computers. Tell me how to send you pictures of mine. Ravage and Phoenix. Yes, there are Wings fans too. Oh, man. Literally, however, if you have to email
Twitter,
them,
email, Facebook, we don't care.
You can mail them to us.
Yeah.
Dogs, yeah. Physically mail them.
we'll always take dog pictures.
And we're not talking about the pictures. You can just send us the dogs.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Winged Wheel podcast. We will be back with you this Sunday. We do have some news. I believe Sunday is when we're going to do our jersey giveaway to celebrate 200 patrons. Yay! And we'll also have decided and announce our next patron goal there in our next giveaway.
We have? We will?
No, we will have.
We will have.
Yes.
Okay.
I like telling these guys our plans.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. And
Settle
then
down, Bill O'Reilly. This podcast is going to get enough lawsuits.
we're going to, there's just going to be a lot coming your way. So stay tuned. If you haven't listened to the Darren McCarty episode, please do. Thank you to all of our name-level sponsors of this podcast. Sky Carcass, Luke Johnson, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Langabeer, Matthew M. Rice, Sean Levine, Matt McKay, Hannah Lee, who just became a brand new top level sponsor, and she's been a name level sponsor for so long, so thank you, Hannah. Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, brand new name level sponsor, Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Antonio Lupu, Ian Bush, Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olson, Ryan Lewis, Mike DiLoretto, and Simon Anderson. Thank you, Simon, so much. Thank you all. We love you, and we will see you in a few days.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.